Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt. It's Saturday, it's like 50 degrees outside. Don't let the short sleeves fool you. I just wanted to show off my muscles from all my exercise. It's pretty chilly out here, but we've got a body armor test today because that's what we love to do over here. We love to find the upper limits of our body armor from our manufacturers, and we have a very popular brand today, a longtime friend of mine from RMA Armament. This is their 1192. I've been trying to get my dirty, stinking paws on this particular model, I think, for 2 years. I constantly hound Corey, the customer service rep, on Facebook Messenger about when we can get our hands on this, and we finally got a pair in to destroy. Now, this is their lightweight offering. This guy weighs 6 pounds, 3 ounces, a little heftier than what is listed on the specs on their page. I think they said maybe the ceramic manufacturer had a variance in a particular thickness or something. It is 27.72 millimeters thick, or for us in freedom units, 1.09 inches. It is multi-curve. You can see all those nice, sexy curves right there. In full transparency, RMA provided us with that set of 1192s to destroy with as we please, with no strings attached. Now here comes the important spiel. Over here on my channel, we do things completely different than anyone else on YouTube when it comes to testing body armor. We try to stick to as many NIJ constants as possible, so some of my data can be boring to watch, but hopefully that we have good solid data that we take away from these tests. So we shoot at 45 feet, that is the official NIJ testing distance for rifle armor. We shoot at 0 degrees because that is worst case scenario. We don't put them in any plate carriers or any magazines or anything. Worst case, that way you know if we see a stoppage here, the manufacturer can send this stuff off to an accredited lab and threat test it and have a good chance of knowing that it's going to stop it. Since this employs a ceramic strike face, I do believe it's silicon carbide and boron carbide hybrid. Per the NIJ, we drop it on its face 2 times as a preconditioning test. Starting with some of our newer tests, after we've completed our drop test, we mark a DT and a check mark on there indicating that they've been dropped. And then we do a torque test. That's where we grab the top and the bottom of the plate and we kind of put pressure on it back and forth to listen for any cracks. If there are no cracks, we put a TQ and a check mark on there. But if I hear any type of cracking, I mark a C and a check mark on there. And then with this particular plate, I do hear possibly a little bit of cracking on there, but knowing RMA and how they always build a lot of safety margins and they build quality plates, if there's good adhesion between our strike face and our backer, those cracks don't negate the performance. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma plastilina, #1 clay donated by Chavant. That acts as our compressible media, just like the NIJ uses, but because it's only 50 degrees outside today, I can't heat that clay up to the temperature. It's like 103 degrees Fahrenheit, and you have to drop a ball on it to certify it. So for our case, it's just a solid item to mount our plate to, and there is a little bit of give even in the clay when it's only about 60 degrees, so it gives us a representation of back face. Again, as I mentioned, anything you guys see me do here, if we get a stoppage, the manufacturer should send off to an accredited lab to make sure that those threats are valid. Finally, we put a giant spreadsheet here at the beginning that foreshadows all the different threats that I'm going to shoot at it, and then at the end we do a teardown and we confirm all those penetrations, and then we send you on your merry way. I forgot to mention in the opening video the price point of the 1192. It is, I think, $699 as of 2022. It might be on sale. I try to avoid mentioning pricing directly because of that variance. As far as what RMA told me, the 1192 is a competitor to Hesco's 4800 series, which I do have and that we will test at a later date. We also have the LV version of that. And finally, we also use a chronograph because we need to measure the velocity of that round. It's a Pro Chronopal Digital DLX at 12 feet. The NIJ spec for level 4 is only one single hit, center of mass, M2 armor piercing going 2880 feet per second, which you won't see from a 1903 or an M1 Garand. So we have it loaded up in our 300 Winchester Magnum or our 300 Winchad. I also have 2 over-spec rounds, which should get us above 3200 feet per second. We'll take those second. I think because I want to maximize how much area I shoot in this plate, we're going to put these kind of in the 4 corners and then maybe save some 5.56 threats for this first plate and then get a little bit crazy on the second one. We've got our TC Compass 24-inch barrel Yankee Hill Phantom M2 up top. So I'm going to place this one in the upper left of the shield. We got a velocity reading off that, I think. Ooh, a little fast there. Sorry about that. This one, I'm going to go, actually I'm going to go to the right of it. Ah, there was our spec. Now these should definitely be over spec. I'm going to put these in the bottom of the plate. 3240. Woo! And then this will be on the right-hand side. Maybe. Get lined up here. Nice. Before we move on to plate number 2, I'm going to pelt number 1 with our Spicy Boys. This is our M855A1 in 5.56 by 45. This is the Army's current issue ball round enhanced performance, copper slug, hardened steel penetrating tip. Out of our TC Compass here, this has a 22-inch barrel in our Oryx chassis with a turbo 5.56 suppressor, so we should see maximum real-world velocity out of these loads. If I can grab all of them. I went down off camera and checked for penetrations just to make sure. We will reveal any of that in a moment on plate number 1. Give me some illumination here. Get a velocity reading off that? 31.86. Nice. The sun's in my eyes. And this will be in the middle of the plate. Should be on the R. Might have been a little high there. Should be on the A. And then we'll put this one down towards the bottom for like an edge shot. That was definitely an edge shot. And then this will be on the right side. And that's it. I would say we beat up this plate pretty good. Our standard pressure M2 AP was right here and here. This one was over spec. That one was in spec. Then our plus P plus wind chads were right down here. Then our M855A1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 was that edge shot. Place those bets in the comments below. Our plate has seen better days. Uh-oh, Raggy, we have one penetration from our M855A1. I believe that was the last shot. And we are pretty close to this epicenter right here. We are 1.5 inches from the edge, well, 1.75. I do enjoy breaking some plates. Our edge shot down here, it does look like it stopped it. It might have gone downwards like we've seen in some of our other shots, but there is no penetration through our backer. Now the impressive part is the back face that we don't see on the plate from our M2 AP loads. That's a very controlled back face, as well as our plus P plus. I've seen dimples larger than this with our standard pressure in some of the plates, so RMA is using a high quality, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene there. pretty darn impressive. We'll see if we can get a back face measurement on this one. Like I said, the clay is cold. 25.87 millimeters on that plus P plus shot. Awesome. Let's see what we can do with plate number 2. On to plate number 2, we're going to move up to some of our advanced threats. And this is where it gets spicy, because when we introduce tungsten, depending on the type of strike face, boron carbide is not good at stopping tungsten, but silicon carbide can be. So we have a 556 threat that basically costs me almost a fifth of my YouTube AdSense revenue for the month. This is M995 or AP3 from NAMO. This is the 52 grain tungsten armor piercing round that the United States military and probably other militaries use. We brought the TC Compass back out for maximum velocity. We have shot this in the past against quite a few plates, and I think the aluminum plates do a pretty good job at stopping it from time to time. We're going to place this on the left side of the plate next to the shield where it says, where the letter R is. Not sure if we got a velocity off that. 3343, woo! Now on to our other tungsten core threat that the U.S. Army currently uses in 7.62 NATO. This is M993. This has a 130 grain projectile going around 3,000 feet per second when we get up to our 22-inch. Because of the unknown nature of how this plate performs, we brought out the 16-inch, and depending on what this does or doesn't do, we can go up in barrel length. This is a CZ557 Urban Counter Sniper. Got the Yankee Hill Phantom M2 up there. Vortex Diamondback Tactical Scope. This one is going to be the upper part of the plate. I think it should be about 2739. Woo! You all saw these threats when we tested our Adept Colossus, so we brought them back out today. We have our M14 A1 API Armor Piercing Incendiary, originally loaded in 30-06. We've got it in our 300 Win Chad. We've got M80A1, that is the Army's current issue ball round in 7.62 NATO, but we have it in 300 Win Chad. And then we have a European body armor standard called VPAM 12. This is a 196 grain projectile with a tungsten core in it. We'll take that shot first. We're shooting for around 2650 feet per second. I couldn't get there in a 308, so I put it in our 300 Win Mag. Then the M80A1 shot will be second. I'm going to place this one on the bottom corner of our plate. Pretty close. Now the M80A1, I'm going to place in the opposite corner. Nice. Now this is Mr. Flashy Flash. I'm going to place that guy all the way at the top because I want to save the center maybe for M993. That one I shot way too high.
So much fire, so satisfying.
A little bit of foreshadowing. We've brought out the 22-inch TC Compass. This has our Phantom M2 on here. We have M993 again. We should see over 29 to 3,000 feet per second in this. And I think after that, we'll probably call it unless I can find a good spot on our plate. My wife will probably tell me I should quit, but I never listen to her. Sometimes I do. She's always right, you know. We're going to place this one in the dead center of the plate, hopefully very close to that star. 3013. Nice. That last shot of M993, I pulled just a little bit, and I think we were too close to the epicenter of our M2AP++. So I'll take one more shot, and because, like I said, I love our API, I'm going to take a shot of that second. That one shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see. So this one, I'm going to place hopefully right in the middle of the M. Yep. And then the API, I'll place on the right-hand side. I just love hearing that stuff pop.
Uncle Roger, like 2 thumbs up.
All right, folks, I do believe all of our shots on here would be considered a fair hit. Although, like I said, with NIJ Level 3, all that stuff is bare minimum standards, and it only has to stop one of those rounds dead center. So any of this multi-hit capability is a plus, and RMA is always known for building a little bit of extra safety margin into the plates. That's why they're a little thicker than most. But our M995 shot was right here. Our 16-inch M993 was right here. Then I do believe our VPAM 12 was right there. Then the M80A1 plus B plus was right there. And then somehow I put our 300 WinChad API up there, but it is about 1.5 inches from the edge. Then our first shot of M993 was right here from the 22-inch. Then the second one was right there. And then we ended with the 308 M14A1 API. Place those bets in the comments below. Helper hand, prepare the dropping of the plate. Uh-oh, Raggy. Wait for the smoke to clear. We have penetrations from both of our M993s out of our 22-inch. But our M14A1 up here stopped. Again, even towards the edge of the plate, our back face is controlled. Our M14A1, that one's doing pretty good right there. Then our plus B plus version, that a little more dimple there. And then the VPAM 12, interesting that it stopped it. Now, like I said, 2650 is the specification for that, and we were under. That would be an interesting threat for RMA to threat profile. As far as any back face goes, I think the API WinChad up here is the worst. Right around 33 millimeters. Our VPAM 12, 22. And then that API shot, at this point, the plate's compromised right around 32 millimeters. Now for a lot of my followers' favorite part is our teardown. This is where we can confirm anything that the manufacturer claims, especially if they claim edge to edge, and we tear it apart and we find out they don't have edge to edge strike face. So here is our fabric cover. I don't detect any foam on the back. If there is any, it's very, very thin. Here's plate number 1 confirmed. Our only penetration is our M855A1. That was the last shot on all these hits, and it actually is just under 1 inch from the edge there. This edge shot down there did not penetrate, at least through our backer. They do look like they push down, but I didn't see any of the projectile in the clay. I measured this right at about 600 thousandths for their ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. It is pressed, meaning that it is not easy to come apart after, I put all the energy on the plate. It does start to separate a little bit, but I can't just fan through it like a book. It looks like a majority of our threats were stopped, at least the 556 threats were stopped almost in the front part of our polyethylene there. Awesome. Now our strike face, there's not much left of it. I do like that RMA has a thin layer of foam on the outermost edge of the plate to protect against any bumps. We do have a foam strike face protectant on the front of the plate, which also acts as a means of laminating the strike face together, although I think I would agree that the 1092 series strike face with its fiberglass lamination is superior. I measured this foam right around 200 thousandths thick. Our ceramic, I measured right at around 380 thousandths. They told me it is silicon carbide, boron carbide hybrid. Not quite sure what the secret sauce is, but it's really hard to tell what it is. But normally with our silicon carbide, it's really hard to get off my hands. So that's plate number 1. And then plate number 2, our confirmed only penetrations were those M993s. RMA may want to send off a fresh plate and see what the V50 rating for that is, because it's impressive that it stopped it from the 16-inch. Again, like I said, our polyethylene's around 600 thousandths. We do have edge-to-edge ceramic on there, what's left of it. And that's about all she wrote, folks. I do believe we'll add that lamination to our strike face and then make sure we add good adhesive to keep that polyethylene on there. We probably could increase the multi-hit capability of this plate a little more. Like I said in the opening, we did hear some cracking after we dropped this plate, but it held up to quite a bit of threats. Well, if you all are fans of the 1980s and watch a lot of movies, you probably know where this quote came from. I'd buy that for $1. I was thoroughly impressed with our RMA 1192 plate. We stopped a lot of advanced threats that in the real world would likely have many hundreds of yards of engagement, and the velocity would have bled off. The only detraction that I personally would say on this plate that I have is its weight. It originally was listed at 5.7 pounds, and it is coming in right around 6 on my scale that has been calibrated. Now, when it comes to body armor, you know, the lighter the better, because ounces equal pounds when you're carrying things. And me personally, based on the threats that we saw it stop, I would give up that extra, 0.3 of a pound for this extra coverage. As far as any of our back face goes, as I mentioned, the clay is cold, so it's going to underrepresent. But typically when we step up to our 300 Winchad M2 AP and some of our other plates, we're seeing lots and lots of back face, and we didn't see that here today. With all that being said, the sun is starting to set, and it's time for me to get the heck out of here. But at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible. Number 1 is my Patreon and subscribe star fans. Number 2 is Corey and Blake over at RMA, who in full transparency have provided me with these 1192s to destroy with no strings attached. They've been a long-time supporter of the channel. I do have a discount code with them. I don't think it ever stacks with any of their sales, but if you're looking at picking up a set of these plates and you want to kick back a little bit to me, it costs you nothing. That code is Buffman, and essentially I use all of that proceeds to buy more of that ammo. Like I said, that M995 shot was $100 a pop. And of course, number 3 is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.